Loves chickens. We all love chickens, Zoe. Buck, 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 buck. 3, 2, 1. Where are we at now? Come on. Where are we at? Where are we at? Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. All right, there. No, no. I don't like this. Stop it. How do you? Hello, hello, hello. There, that's better. That is much better. Good evening, everybody. Is everyone here? Is everybody in? I hope so. Hey, Beth, how you doing? Always the first one to pop up and say hi. You and Kevin, you guys are kind of tied for that. But so okay. Hey, what's going on, Jessica? And hey, Kevin. So sorry for being late. I do have some good news for you though. Um I have passed my FISDAP exam, and I passed that with a high percentage, enough to pass. No, I actually way more than passing. So, but yeah, I passed, and so my next step is to go on to the state test, get my state cert or yeah, state national, get my national registration. So I got to sign up for that, and then once that is taken care of, I can be an EMT anywhere in the United States. So that's pretty cool. Anyhow, thank you guys. Thanks. So I appreciate you guys holding on for a bit till I get till I get that test out of the way. But it's a big relief off of me, that's for sure. So thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Anyhow, yeah, so whew, so that is out of the way. We are almost have this book out of the way. Thank you, Jessica. Next week will be our last reading for Pavor Nocturnus, and we will wrap up this tale of terror. And hopefully, Joe doesn't die at the end of the book. Bobby needs mouth to mouth. All right. Well, okay. So I will do that for you, buddy. Tomorrow night when you and I play something together online. All right. Well, I'll give you a little mouth to mouth about that. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you. So, so yeah, we got that out of the way. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. Also starting to work on some stories, for the new scary book. I don't know if I'll have it finished this year though. Unfortunately. But what I am thinking of is once we finish this book, we're gonna take a week off, of course. We've taken what 2, 3 weeks off of the music, to Chuck's dismay, and but we'll be coming back tomorrow night. Bobby and we'll have something for you tomorrow. Um, so yeah, we're gonna probably start doing Thursday nights. Thanks, Bobby. Um, Thursday nights we'll probably do some music, and now that the last horror book is almost done being read, I think what we'll do is we're gonna switch um to Tuesdays, and Tuesday I'm gonna read my book, um, The Ballad of Broken Bird. So I think that's what we'll do. Yeah. So I got a week at least to prep for all of that, and let everybody know about the changes and everything else. So but that's what I think we are going to do. At least that's what's in my head. So but yeah, I'm very I'm on that. I passed a really hard test high right now. Um, the big national test I heard isn't as scary or as hard as the FISDAP test, so that makes me feel a little better. Um, but I'm still gonna hit her hard and practice for that test. And I don't know when I'm gonna take that. Um, I think I got a few weeks to be able to prepare for that. So I got to make an account, and I don't know. It's pretty intense because I guess I have to have a photo ID in order to take the test. I cannot have my phone with me or anything else with me. I just have to show up with just me. And I believe my first test is paid for. The city is paying for it because I'm working for them, or at least I promised them 2 years of my life. And then if I fail the first one, then I had to pay for the second one, which is like $100 or something. So anyhow, that's what that is, and that's what we're looking at for the future. So anyhow, let's look at the book Pavor Nocturnus. I am thinking about still doing something scary for Wednesdays. Um, and that might be reviewing a movie, a scary movie, or reviewing some scary books. I haven't decided yet, but yeah. Anyhow, then that's 3 days of podcasting. I don't know if I got that in me, but anyhow, so the music thing. Here I am not talking about the book. The music thing, I was actually out on my porch last weekend trying to play, and I did not like what I was putting out of that guitar. Um, so I don't. I guess I'd have to get back into it and start playing either daily or something. Cause I used to play daily or at least weekly for sure, but I've been away from my guitar for a while, and you can tell. I haven't sang in a long time either, and you can definitely tell that as well. So, anyhow, that being said, let's talk about our book, Pavor Nocturnus. If you are new, Slipknot, if you are a new purveyor of horror hump day, what we do here every Wednesday is we read a chapter or a story, short story, from one of my published works, horror book, horror works, and we are currently on my book, which is Latin for night terrors. And we have this book was created with the help of several friends who sent me their nightmares. Now, the awesome part about that was they allowed me the freedom to turn their nightmares into a scary story, which I hope I did well. Um, and I've gotten a lot of compliments on this book, which is very encouraging. But yeah, the it's several different nightmares from different people, and we're on the final chapter of the book. And he's also the last person to send me his nightmare, which oddly enough kind of tied all the other ones together. And so that's kind of what produced this book. That one was from my friend Joe Saul. And yeah, and that's what we're doing now is we're following him through different nightmares. He is well, he's found out that he is a uh, kind of like a savior who protects dreamers from their nightmares, and he has been knocking down the nightmares of the dreamers that we read about in this book. So I think without further ado, the crowd is all here, all of us regulars at least. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So, um, yeah, well, let me pull up the book. Let me make sure I'm at the spot we need to be here. Oh yeah, here we are. All right, let's get into some mood here. And make sure everything works. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check,
Check, check, check, check.
Check, check, check. All right, there we go.
All right, everything's up and running. Ah, Pavor Nocturnus, Chapter 10. Joe takes a dirt nap, Part 8. The house is, is getting smaller, Yosef. Joe hears his grandmother's voice, but he is lost in thought regarding his friend Dean. They had both been in pool league together for 15 years. Dean was one of his first patrons at the bar that he had become friends with. They had the same tastes in music and went to local concerts together whenever Joe had the chance to get away from the bar. Dean also booked a few of the local rock groups at Joe's bar. Yosef, I heard you, Grandma, he said, a little irritated. I understand your grief, but hide it deep for now. I feel the house is getting weaker, but it drained us. It still stands formidable against us, and it will use your grief against you, as you have witnessed. I'm so tired of this. I know, but you must go on. There are two more, and I don't think these will be easy. None of this has been easy. I feel as if I've failed. I have lost plenty of battles over the years, Yosef. All of us have, all of us have, guarding the gate of Nod. Really? Sadly, yes. Some of us have died trying to stop the monsters that come across. Are you telling me that there's monsters walking the earth? That they came from here? Yes. This place is as much a reality as the land of lucidity. This is why we must guard against these things. Like the dragon? Like the dragon. There are beautiful things here as well that are known to cross over, usually without consequence. But when evil crosses that threshold, so how do we deal with these monsters when they cross over? There are those of us that battle these monsters. But we are guardians of the barrier. Others are born to be hunters. I'm not sure which is worse. Wear your position with pride, grandson. We are chosen. I'll try. I've been proud of you so far, except that there will be failures, but there will also be victories. Joe noticed that the house was getting smaller. The hallways were thinner and the ceiling lower. The decay of the house was waning, and though it was smaller, he could feel the strength in it too. Ahead, there wasn't a doorway, but what looked like a puddle on the wall. It was perfectly round, and the water within bubbled furiously. Steam wafted from its surface. The fuck is this? Joe said. Seriously, Joseph, that mouth of yours. You never spoke that way when I was alive. He died when I was like 10. Joe walked slowly up to the bubbling pool. Inside of it, he could see the ceiling of a house. Slatted boards with a ceiling fan pointed right at him. His perspective was from the floor of some house. A hot tub inside of a house? Joe asked himself. Keep in mind, the house is desperate now. It has fed enough on you and on your friend. It will have insurmountable power, and it will try anything to end this. Joe carefully fed his index finger into the puddle. The water was warm, and a strong smell of bleach. He reached his hand deeper into the puddle, and he could feel cool air on the other side. Careful, Yosef. There was a sharp pain as if metallic teeth bore into the flesh of his wrist. He pulled his hand back quickly, and his wrist looked like it was chewed up through his radius to his ulna. Bits of raw, bloodied meat and skin protruded from the jagged wound. "Oh, fuck!" Joe said, grasping his wounded arm. "Oh, fuck! Oh, fuck!" He sat on the floor, staring at his blood staining the waters of the opening. A large shadow passed over the puddle as he shivered. He pulled off the sleeve from his hoodie and wrapped it around the gash. He then pulled the lace from the hood and tied that tightly around the sleeve. The blood stopped gushing out, but the pain throbbed like a rapid heartbeat. "What the fuck was that?" Joe shouted. "A nightmare, grandson. One that you must enter to save the dreamer inside." God damn it. Not a good way to start this shit. Joe peeked into the pool and didn't see any giant shadowy shape nearby. He slowly made his way through the water, and he came out into a hot tub that sat in the middle of a living room. He tried desperately not to splash water or make any noise as he crawled painfully onto the cement floor. There was a chilly draft that was blowing in from an open door to his right. He could see it was winter, and large powdery flakes the size of quarters were blowing in from outside. With his entire body soaked, it froze him, and he immediately began to shiver. Somewhere on the other side of the house, he could hear a young girl screaming, almost drowned out by the roar of what he believed was a chainsaw. "Terrific," he moaned, and looked around for a weapon. He found a fireplace poker leaning against the brick fireplace. He felt it in his numbing hands with some difficulty and swung it from side to side. "Freeze!" a voice ordered behind him. "Now what?" Joe asked himself. "Put your hands in the air, or I'll put a bullet in ya." Behind him was a police officer. His gun was drawn and the hammer was pulled back on the revolver. Joe put his hands up and the cop kicked him behind the knees and he dropped to the floor. "Dude," Joe protested, "I'm not the guy." The cop slapped handcuffs on him and squeezed them on tight. Joe howled in pain as the metal bit into his wound. "Fuck, man. Look at my hand. He did this. The guy you're looking for did this to me. Bullshit, the cop said, and then squeezed the button on his radio. Dispatch, I've got one in custody. Joe noticed the chainsaw had stopped. The girl was still screaming in some back room. Lori, the cop yelled. Lori, this is the police. We're here to rescue you. Tell me where you are, honey. The cop stood up and holstered his gun and began to listen to where the little girl's voice was coming from. You idiot, Joe said. He's still in the house. Draw your goddamn gun. Are you working with an accomplice? The cop said suspiciously, putting his hand on the butt of his service revolver. From the shadows, there was a spluttering sound of a small motor being pull-started. A small chug at first, and then it began to roar to life. The officer tried to draw his gun, but it was too late. The long, ripping blade of a semi-chiseled chain dug into the midsection of the police officer, and within that reddish-brown spray of blood, steaming guts began to splat on the ground at the cop's feet. The man pulled with some effort, and the saw was free, trailing intestines behind it. The man sauntered towards Joe, who was scrambling to sit up and back away from the horrors before him. The man grabbed a hold of Joe and lifted him off the ground with ease, hanging him up by his cuffed hands on a set of deer antlers. It caused the cuffs to dig deeper into his wound, and he couldn't help but scream out in pain. The chainsaw began to rev, and the only thing Joe could do was kick his legs out. He only connected twice, but the brute wouldn't budge. Lori screamed from the kitchen, and the man stopped menacing Joe and cut the engine on the chainsaw. He looked towards the kitchen and then back at Joe again. He could tell the man was processing something in his brain, and then he turned and started walking towards the kitchen. No! Joe shouted. Get the fuck away from her! The man placed the chainsaw down by the hot tub and walked slowly into the kitchen. Joe could hear her screaming as the man got closer to her hiding place. There was splintering of wood, and then the hinges of the cupboard doors released with a metallic pinging noise as they scattered to the floor. Lori's screams were shrill as the man grabbed her by the hair and lifted her out of the cupboard. Joe tried ignoring the pain and looked up as the man carried Lori's kicking little body out into the living room. The man had a large butcher knife in his other hand.
This one is too terrified.
The man said with a wet, croaking sound.
She will never wake up.
Joe struggled with his arms, trying to free himself, but it only increased the pressure on his bleeding wound. Let go of her, you son of a bitch, Joe spat.
I'm going to make you watch as I carve her up. I'll flay her flesh, slowly, so you can absorb every scream that emits from her tiny little lungs.
The man poked the tip of the knife into the forehead at her hairline and began slicing downwards past the eyebrows, the bridge of the nose, and then to her upper lip. Her screams turned into high-pitched gurgles as blood ran down her face. Lori, honey, wake up, Joe pleaded. This is all just a goddamn nightmare. Honest, just wake up and he can't hurt you. The split in her face caused the clump of hair the man had in his hands to let go of the scalp, and Lori dropped like a sack onto the tiled floor surrounding the hot tub. It's a dream, Lori, Joe said. It can't hurt you. Oh,
Oh, but I can.
the man said. He bent over to pick her up, and he made purchase of her shirt and began to lift her. When he pivoted towards Joe, the puddles around the tub had frozen from the winter chill blowing in through the glass patio door, and his heavy work boots slipped on the ice. He did a ridiculous dance that one would have laughed if the situation weren't so horrible. After a few more dance moves, the man fell into the hot tub and cracked his head onto the edge of the bubbling tub of water. He dropped Lori on the way down. The man was out cold, and Lori was curled into a painful fetal position, part of her face drooping in bloody flaps. Lori, Joe said as calmly as he could, this is a nightmare. None of this is real. I'm here to help you wake up. Can you do that for me, kiddo? She was weeping, and her nose was intermittently sniffing up gobs of snot mixed with coagulated blood from her wounds. You must wake up before that maniac wakes up. Come on, kid, you can do this. She looked over at Joe and began to slowly crawl towards him, looking several times at the maniac to make sure he was still out. Don't waste your time on me. I'll be free as soon as you wake up. You just must open your eyes. Lori wrapped her little arms around Joe's legs and struggled to lift Joe off of the antlers without much progress. Just wake up, Lori. That's all you need to do. There was a grunt behind her, and she froze. Slowly, on shivering bones, she turned her head to see the man begin to awaken. She panicked and started to climb up Joe's body. He screamed in pain, and both he and Lori dropped to the ground, and the antlers landed heavily onto the back of Joe's head. They both scrambled backwards as the man began to level himself on all fours. A maniacal laugh uttered from him.
You'll never reason with her little 8-year-old brain, Joseph. She is beyond terrified. She is drowning in terror. She's seen more than any little child has any business seeing. She's lost.
Grabbing the antlers with his hands behind his back, he scrambled to his feet. Lori had a death grip on his leg. We need to run, Lori, Joe said. Where do we run to? She grabbed his hand and led him towards the door. They almost slipped on the frozen guts of the police officer. The wind seemed to try to stop them from running out the open door and into the blackness of the winter night.
You can't hide from me. I know this place like the back of my hand.
Lori led Joe to her snow fort. They slid in through the small entrance and into the main chamber. The icy walls glistened blue from the outside lights. Outside, the crunching of boots on powdery snow came closer.
Little pigs, little pigs. I can feel you both. I can smell your fear. It won't be long now.
Joe had hoped the falling snow was covering the blood trail his arm had left. Lori snuggled tight next to him, shivering with fear and chill. Joe bent over and whispered into her ear. Many years ago, a race of humans were given the honor to guard a great bridge. On one side of that bridge was a place called the Land of Nod. In that land were mysteries and creatures, both wonderful and horrible. On the other side of the bridge was a land called the Land of Lucidity. It was on that side that people would work, play, and dream. Those dreams would come to life in the Land of Nod. Sometimes the bad dreams, filled with monsters of every kind, would try to come across the bridge of the Land of Lucidity. They would be held back by the people who were charged to protect the Land of Lucidity. Are you one of those people? Lori whispered back. Yes, I am. She lifted her head and smiled at him. The folds of severed skin began to mend themselves. Tears were beginning to dry on her reddened cheeks. The handcuffs began to loosen on his wrists, and he could feel his wound begin to heal. That's it, he said. You're beginning to wake up. The cuffs fell off to the icy floor of the snow fort, and Joe gripped the antlers tightly with his fists. He could see the area around his formerly hurt wrists, but needles and pins began to poke at where the cut was. Suddenly, the familiar roar of a chainsaw bellowed outside. The ice walls were beginning to rip open as the chain blades bit into them, scattering icy flakes like snow daintily floating in the air.
Little pigs, let me in.
Lori screamed and squeezed Joe tight around the neck. He pulled her off and set her as far away from the growing hole being ripped open on the wall as he could. Just like the handcuffs, Lori, Joe shouted over the screaming motor. The chainsaw is not real, okay? It's not real. The blade made its way through the wall. Joe maneuvered the antlers into the chains so that the man couldn't withdraw the saw.
She's mine. You won't take any more from me.
Do you hear him? Joe said to Lori. He's scared. You're scaring him. The man began pounding on the walls with his fists. A crack turned into hundreds of cracks, turned into thousands of cracks.
I'll finish you both. I'll feast on you both.
Close your eyes, Lori, Joe said. Take a deep breath, and then, when you've sucked up all the air you can, let it all go, and open your eyes when you've breathed out all your air.
Stop this. Stop this right now. You belong to me, Lori. I'll cut you into little tiny bits, and I'll eat every delectable chunk of you. You can't escape.
Lori closed her eyes.
Stop it!
She took a slow, steady breath, taking in the cold air to the point that it was hurting her lungs.
I'm coming for you, Lori. If not tonight, I'll come back another night. You must sleep. I'll get you when you least expect it.
Her eyes flickered. Don't listen to his lies, Lori, Joe said. You're almost there. You're almost home. She squeezes her eyes shut, as tight as she could. Her lungs were beginning to hurt.
Stop this now!
As the ice walls began to cave in, Lori slowly opened her eyes. Maud Harris was just pouring a cup of coffee when her daughter screamed out of her bedroom. "What God's green earth is that?" her husband Frank says from the newspaper in his hands. They both ran into their daughter's room. She was curled up in the corner of the bed, trembling with the blankets pulled up to her frightened eyes. "Lori, honey," Maud said. "What's wrong?" Lori couldn't form the words she needed. The only thing to come out of her mouth was, "Joe!" Frank looked at his wife and then at Lori. "Who's Joe?" he asked. "He came to save me," Lori finally said. He, he, he's still in there." "In where?" The, Lori looked towards her window. "The fort!" She jumped from her bed and ran past her parents as they called after her. She stomped into her boots and ran to her snow fort. She flipped the towel aside and looked in. "Joe!" she shouted. "Joe, where are you?" Frank and Maud came out behind her. The inside of the fort was empty. She felt hands grab her ankles, and she immediately began screaming as her body was dragged out of the ice fort. Her father pulled her close to him as she kicked and screamed. "Lori," he gently scolded. "Calm down, honey. You must have had a bad nightmare." "He's still in there," Lori said, staring at the entrance to the fort. "He's still in there with the bad man." "It was just a dream," her mother comforted. "You're safe now." But, Joe." The only thing that came crashing in through the ice wall was blackish soot. It invaded the snow fort like a dark cloud of dust. "She opened her eyes," he said gratefully. "You saved her, Joseph, just like I knew you would." The fort was melting into a black, stained puddle of murk. Outside, the house was beginning to collapse on itself. "You better get in there and go out the way that you came in." Joe crawled to his feet, amazed at how the strength came back into his arm that healed. The world around him was closing in on itself, as if it were imploding. He made it into the shrinking home and slid on the black sludge that used to be the guts of the police officer. His feet kicked out and he sloppily splashed into the hot tub and came out into the hallway he started from. There was a tiny bit of hallway left. The rest was blackness. He was sure that within that blackness was just a void. The house was losing cohesion. Ahead of him was a thin path made of decaying wooden planks that didn't look safe enough to stand on. There were no more walls, just the inky blackness and this thin trail leading to an ominous green light ahead of him. And that, my friends, is the end. Is the end of part 8. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. If you remember that one was from the Dream chainsaws and hot tubs, or hot tubs and chainsaws, or something like that. Anyhow, I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Well, that was only a 30-minute story. How about that? So it doesn't always have to go in an hour, right? Right? Although it'd be nice. It is sometimes nice. I think next week, on the horror Humpdays finale, not just season finale, but finale. It's gonna I think it'll probably take it about an hour to read. It should. So good story. Thanks, Jessica. Hey, have a good night. You too, Chuck. Thank you. Thanks, buddy. Um, so yeah. So next week, we're gonna wrap up this tale of terror, and then we'll go to other things beyond. I think maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what life brings us. Join me and Bobby tomorrow night. We're gonna be playing something for you. I think we named it Toe Tapping Thursday or something like that. I think that was a suggestion from Kevin. So, but yeah, we're gonna be doing that, and Bobby gets to use the help. He gets to use the new equipment, so that should be fun. And we'll be broadcasting live from the Winthrop Mercantile here in downtown Winthrop. Damn, where's my cuddle buddy? Which one, the German Shepherd or the wife? So, anyhow, yeah, that's our show for tonight. Thank you all for very much for joining me. Now that I got this test out of the way, I am still going to study, but I can also concentrate on writing. And also, I've been working on the wedding ceremony for my sister who's getting married in Miami in October. I have the honor of officiating that, and yeah, so I've been trying to write out the ceremony, which is it's a little different. So that is actually one of the services on the b.hive Productions page that I don't really talk too much about. Usually it's just writing and music and art. But I also am an officiant. I'm officially a dudist priest. What does that mean, you might say? Well, so if you've all seen the Big Lebowski, they actually made a religion based on the philosophy of the dude. Um, and it's basically it's Taoism, the Ching thing, and yeah. So Kevin is also ordained. So there you go. Um, so yeah, so she was asked me to officiate their wedding. So I want to do a good job for her. She's pretty excited about it. So I want to make sure it's perfect. But anyhow, so that's what I'm gonna go work on writing and other things. So thank you all very much for having my back and rooting for me on the test. Paid off. I passed it. Whoop whoop. And thank you guys for showing up and just being my friends. Means more than you guys will ever know. All right. Peace and a bottle of hair grease. Join me next week. Well, join us tomorrow night and then come back next week. Mwah. Later. Oh, one of these for Kevin. Where is it? All right, there you go. All right, later, guys.